we're gonna get into this Waffle House fan fiction, okay? Just to give everybody the origin of why we're here, we're gonna play the clip, all right? And it's basically the clip of when we talked about the characters that usually be in your neighborhood Waffle House. All right, y'all ready for this clip? Here we go. I like the ones with the toothless waitress and homeboy and the girl. That's me. Why is it always that dynamic though? Let's dive just a tad bit into that before we get into the next episode. Why is it always the white lady with no teeth, dirty apron, early 50s, late 40s? Why is that person always your waiter? I missed the ponytail. And why is the guy that's on the grill the same dude that caught a case 2 years ago, trying to get back on the straight and narrow because his cousin ain't gonna let him live in his house no more? Why is it always that dynamic? Usually some lady getting with her smoke break, always. Been smoking since she was 12. Gums black, hair bleached, neck sagging. It's always that. And she always very nice. She's always very nice. Ready to take your order, ready to go. Always come up, what's up, honey? You want the scrambled? She's great. Jessica's great. But let's get this girl a dental plan. They're dating or something? Yeah. I believe that Jessica, who's the waitress that served you, and Jeremiah, who's on the grill, they got curious one night. Somebody write a fan fiction. They got curious. Them 24-hour shifts, about 3 a.m., 3:30, where ain't no customers. And that grill kind of settled down a little bit. Sometimes Jeremy know her a little more biblically than we think. Not the Waffle House erotic fanfic. Yo, if I shut down this stream and if I go on Archive of Our Own and I pull up Waffle House and there's no fan fiction as of 24 hours ago, I'm going to be very disappointed in this entire chat. I want at least one slow burn, 18,000 word fanfic out of one of y'all. All right, guys. All right, I'm gonna read this to y'all. I want to reiterate, I have not read this fanfic, okay? I don't know what's in it. I don't know how good it is. I don't know how bad it is. The only thing that she told me about this fanfic, and I will repeat for the whole chat, honestly, this is a masterpiece. I don't know how you'll continue your stream after reading this. Everyone is going to be hot and bothered and in desperate need of an intermission after hearing it. You're welcome. Are you gonna do character voices? Oh God. Here we go. Chapter 1. Jessica hastily grabbed her apron from the back of the couch and gave it a smell to gauge its cleanliness. It wasn't fresh, but it wasn't anything a little Febreze couldn't mask. It was already 8:40 p.m. and she had to stop at Cumberland Farms on her way on her way in for a shift that started in 20 minutes. She said goodbye to her 2 cats and headed out the front door. Jessica reluctantly trudged over her beat up. Oh, okay. Jessica reluctantly trudged over her beat up but still running Civic and threw her purse in the passenger seat. She was dreading another night of taking orders from the usual drunk college student crowd that made their way through the weekend. Next paragraph. She'd been waiting tables at Waffle House for the last 18 years and couldn't picture herself doing anything else. Her career started there out of desperation when her husband sold their trailer and left her at the curb. Goddamn. Serving up greasy eggs, hash browns, and flat waffles had been enough to help her get back on her feet. Sure, the customers were assholes sometimes, but she also got a smoke break every hour and didn't have a manager constantly breathing down her neck. Jessica pulled into the same gas station she stopped at almost every night and ran inside for a pack of ciggies and a big gulp of Dr. Pepper. The hot dogs on the conveyor belts were tempting, but she resisted. As she was waiting to cash out, she gave in to her impulses and grabbed a Slim Jim. Those were Jeremiah's favorite. Jeremiah started working as a short order cook at Waffle House about a year ago, and Jessica found herself smitten with him from the start. Sure, Jeremiah had a colorful criminal background, but he was a nice guy. He always offered to light her Newport for her Newport. We're getting specific. He always offered to light her Newport for her and took her trash to the dumpster at the end of every shift. The reformed criminal was much younger than Jessica and was living on the couch at his cousin's house while he finished up his time on probation. Jeremiah had been running with the wrong crowd for too long and spent 2 years in county jail. God damn, 2 years. His start at Waffle House wasn't quite as desperate. They were at the top of the list of second chance employers in the same area, and they hired him right out of the clink. Not the clink. He still had his fresh release day fade from his cellmate on his first shift. Elijah. It's this last line that is wild to me. He still had his fresh release day fade. Next paragraph. Jessica pulled into her usual parking spot by the dumpster behind work and started to gather her belongings. She caught her reflection in the mirror, and as she got out of the car, and instantly regretted not putting a little more effort into her hair before she left the house. As she was walking up to the back door, she noticed that Jeremiah's bicycle wasn't leaned up against the back wall as it usually was. Her heart sank a little as she walked through the door into the beginning of a very long Friday night shift. Hours couldn't have been moving slower. She found in her mind constantly wandering back to the last time they'd had a tryst in the walk-in cooler at work. Oh, so they already out here. So this is already established. They're already on the clock. Got it. He'd been teasing her for hours, touching the small of her back and passing or whispering something scandalous in her ear as she walked by. She would stare at his broad shoulders pulling at the back of his t-shirt as he worked feverishly over the flat top. Sweat was making his back stick to his body in all the right places. She imagined him putting in that work leaning over her rather than those hash browns. He turned around and gave her a look. That was all it took. Finally, when she could no longer resist, she followed him out of the kitchen and into the cooler. Shut up! He hoisted her up against the wire shelving and made her feel 30 years old again. God damn it. How old is Jessica? That she feels 30 again? How old is she? Jessica gotta be knocking on 50? Gotta be. I mean, like, how you feel like, usually people are like, it made me feel like I was in my teens again. I mean, 30s, your knees still hurt. I don't understand. He hoisted her up against the wire shelving and made her feel 30 years old again. Jeremiah kissed along her neck and put his hands under her stained Waffle House apron. Her breathing grew heavier as she felt him pressing hard against the inside of his dickies. No one made her feel the way he did. No one else brought the same sensations to her hot honey pot. Okay.
What did he say?
We still gotta have this thing to go. I'm sorry, honey pot got me. Honey pot got me. Not Dickie's getting sticky. Y'all, shut up. She was refilling the disgustingly sticky syrup bottles with zero effort to wipe them down as an effort to pass the time when she smelled something familiar and unexpected. Suddenly, the scent of Jeremiah's cheap-ass cologne. Fuck! How you gonna dog my dude, Jeremiah? How you gonna dog my guy? I really hope we don't get a raid between this. I really hope not. Suddenly, the scent of Jeremiah's cheap-ass cologne somehow overpowered the Fabuloso and frying oil that was previously filling her nostrils. She turned around to see him coming through the back door. He looked disheveled. Had he been crying? Why was he so late? She didn't want to seem too thirsty, so she hung back. She didn't want to bombard him as he made his way to his station. Jessica wasn't the only one pining after Jeremiah. Oh, is it a triangle? He had made his rounds through a handful of the servers, but usually found his way back to Jessica. Man, Jeremiah's a dog, bruh. He made his rounds through a handful of the servers, but usually found his way back to Jessica. Oh, and I bet that makes her feel really special. Who could blame them for all throwing themselves at him? Yes, this criminal delinquent. He had good teeth, always had the cleanest tank top under his work shirt, and really knew how to handle that spatula. She, on the other hand, had her best days behind her. Her mouth was showing all the telltale signs of years of nicotine and dental neglect due to her lack of healthcare insurance. She was still using concealer that was 3 shades too dark. Oh, haven't we all? And she had never quite mastered how to blend in that line along her jaw. A little bit of contouring. Her nail polish was chipping horribly, and her Skechers had seen better days. Turns out his girlfriend found some of the texts between he and another girl and ran over his bike with her car before leaving for her job at the hospital. Ah, a good old RN. No one more dependable. He was distraught. And Jessica was ready to be there to console him and wipe his tears. Everyone knows the best way to get over someone is to get under someone else. Okay. Okay. All right. She found herself struggling to focus on her work and was forgetting orders left and right. She was writing down scrambled when they wanted over easy, forgetting the white toast left and right, and caught herself assuming everyone wanted sausage over bacon, and a very Freudian slip-esque type of move. It felt unusually warm in the restaurant. Her face had a constant level of flush as she daydreamt about Jeremiah and his strong hands. Opportunity presented itself when Jeremiah asked Jessica for a ride home as they were clocking out of work. He followed her out to the car and slid into the passenger seat with the same smoothness that he did everything with. He thanked her again for taking him home and gave her that smile that made her feel weak in the knees, that I'm sure don't have any cartilage left behind them. They were about 5 minutes into the ride when Jessica felt his hand on her thigh. He was telling her how much he'd missed her, and how sorry he was for not making more time for her lately. You know, with the RN girlfriend and whatnot. She barely heard what he was saying. She was distracted by the instant arousal she was feeling as his hand crept further and further up her thigh. Jessica wanted him badly. She wanted to rip his clothes off right then and there. By the time she pulled into his cousin's driveway, he was rubbing along her thigh crease, close enough to brush up against her lips with his fingertips. She could see that he was as hard as she was wet. They were both relieved to see that there were no other cars at the house when they arrived. He invited her in, and she quickly obliged. Guys, we still have a whole paragraph to go, and I don't know what's in this paragraph. The two stumbled in through the front door, her grabbing at his belt while he was lifting her shirt over her head. She loved the way he took charge when they were together and never fumbled. He kissed down her chest and unfastened her bra with one hand. Guy's good. She was arching her back reflexively, needing to feel his mouth on her breasts. Jessica put her hands on his head and guided his mouth down slightly. Jeremiah's technique was on point. He had opened her up to the world and satisfying sex. She was usually begging for it by the time he had his pants off, and this time was no different. He slid her pants down and stared at her body with such hunger. His mouth made its way down to her, along her stomach, and then detoured over to her thighs. Small kisses with a soft bite, thrown in sporadically, which was also accompanied by a small moan from her. She was breathing heavily at this point, and her hips were naturally gravitating towards his body. She was aching to feel him inside her. And that was chapter 1. Well, that was wild. I gotta tell you. Left me wanting more, just like the food at the Waffle House. Stop. Okay. We can't end there. Unfortunately, Dior, we can. So what have we learned about our characters, Jessica and Jeremiah? Well, we've learned that Jessica is indeed 40s, 50s. Doesn't mind that Jeremiah has tore through that entire waitstaff. I think that she legit is just like, how do I get this man underneath me? And you know, we applaud that around here. We're a sex positive stream. If Jessica wants to be a slutty slut at 50, I'm all for it. I really like this. This was really good. It was very descriptive. It was very well written. It was good. Left us wanting more, you know. I'm sorry I couldn't read it as well, but if y'all had two bright lights on either side of your face flashing into you as you're trying to read a document in dark mode, you'd struggle too. I really hope we continue to use terms like honeypot when we're talking about other sexual organs. I just hope this gets more creative. You know? Hope this gets more creative. All right, guys. That's it. I'm closing the document. I'm getting out of here. I feel dirty.